Hey everyone, it's Monica. Welcome back to Homeschool Voices. In today's video, I'm going to give you a little tip, something very easy to do that will have a huge positive impact on your homeschooling experience. A lot of times when people homeschool, they feel stressed out, unsure of themselves, feeling like they should do more, and just generally feeling like they're not getting everything done. So today's tip is to help you with that. So on its surface, it sounds really simple. You might even feel like you do it, but hear me out because there are some details that I think will make a really big difference. It will make a huge positive impact on your kids in their adult lives, not just in the here and now, but in their adult lives. So what is this amazing tip that I'm going to give you today, this revelatory tip? It is scheduling your time, but it all starts with setting time-based goals, not outcome-based goals. I talk about this a lot in the video that I link to at the end of this video called Literature-Based Homeschooling, but basically you want to set time-based goals, and there's very good reasons for this. One of the biggest reasons is that you need to balance life. You need to make sure that you are spending a reasonable amount of time on school. So, and that goes in both directions. There's a lot of people who say, oh, I get homeschool done in an hour a day. That's true if your kid is 8 years old, but when they're 14, I question whether they're really getting a top quality education with an hour a day. I can't imagine how amazing any curriculum is that it really truly educates your child in that time. So you have to set reasonable time goals, not too much, not too little. You gotta find the sweet spot. The other reason for setting time-based goals is because kids, when they have outcome-based goals, they tend to rush through everything. So if they know that they have this list of things that they need to do, they will rush through it in an hour if at all humanly possible. They will make sure that they get it done really fast. And that's not really what you want. That's not going to be quality work or quality learning. And it's not setting up a positive association with learning for their life. What it's doing is you're ingraining this mentality towards learning like it is something to be finished so you can go live life, right? And we want to learn to balance learning and life in such a way that it is an integral, hopefully enjoyable part of life, not just something to rush through. So again, if your kid has an outcome-based thing, they're going to rush through it. If they know they have to work for 2 or 3 or 4 hours, they're just going to be like, okay, I'll get work done. And again, if you look at my video at the end of this video, there's this whole philosophy that I have that I try to share with as many people as possible about having a child-led education with rules and structure, so your kids are learning and they're learning a variety of things, but they are not completely in control, but they are in control a lot, and it has a very, very positive impact is all I'm saying. So you've got your time-based goals. So for my son, it's 20 hours a week. He's 15 years old. That might actually even not sound like much, whatever. For us, it's reasonable. It feels like a good amount of work, and he's able to balance life. He has a lot of other interests that will honestly serve him as an adult. He's learned all kinds of coding. He's learned electronics, can build drones, computer programs that I have no idea how to use that are nothing to do with his homeschool. He learns in his off time. So we're good with the 4 hours a day. That's 20 hours a week. So I'm going to just make this video with him as an example, but you can scale it down or up depending on your child and their needs. So this idea is really simple. So what you do on the weekend is you look at your week. Now, a lot of you kind of do this in your head, but you don't write it down and you're sort of winging it. So what you have to do is you have to look at your week and, okay, you're going to say, okay, Tuesday and Thursday we have softball, and on Wednesday we have martial arts, very active. And, on Monday we have a class in the park, and this Friday we actually have a field trip. It's going to take 4 hours with drive time and everything. So you're going to mark those things down, and you're going to kind of like mark lunch down because eating has to happen. And then you are going to make a realistic goal. You're going to say on Monday, realistically, we can do school for 3 hours. Same with Friday is more like 2 hours, except for maybe we can fit 2 hours of reading during the drive, during the field trip. So, hey, they're going to have to save the reading for Friday, or at least 2 hours of it. And, I think on Wednesday we can pack in a lot of hours. It's going to be a long day, but we're going to do it. It's going to be a 6-hour day because we don't really want to do work on the weekend. Or maybe you do want to do work on the weekend because you don't want a 6-hour day. The point is, if you sit down on Saturday or Sunday, you look at your whole week, you make a plan. Because if you're just sort of like, winging it, stumbling along through your week, what's going to happen is maybe you needed to get up early certain days and you didn't. Maybe you needed to work later certain days and you didn't. Maybe certain days you needed to be more on task because you needed to do more and you didn't, because you're just winging it and you're not making a plan. See, this is not a detailed plan, right? This is saying, how much time do I have? Because you're setting time-based goals, right? So 20 hours for my son. I gotta make sure that all those days add up to 20, preferably without going into the weekend, because first of all, because it's not fun, and second of all, because things just happen anyway without me planning on it. So I don't want to plan to work on the weekend because we may have to work on the weekend anyway. So I don't want to build it into the plan because then maybe they'd be working all day Saturday, and that's just a real bummer. Nobody wants to do that. So now your kids know how many hours a day and approximately when those chunks of time are. So if they know they need to do 3 hours of work before you meet with some friends at 1 o'clock, they can't get going really late. A lot of us homeschoolers, we like our sleep, we enjoy the leisurely schedule, but if you're gonna get together with someone at 1, you're gonna have lunch at noon, you probably at the latest need to get started at 9 because you're gonna have some breaks. Maybe you wanna get started at 8:30, right? So the point is to plan ahead. Okay. So you're doing that every week, and your kids are involved in this. So depending on their age, if they're really little, maybe not, right? As they get older, you want to involve them in this, and more, it's going to be like they're going to hold the pen and paper, and you are going to, give input and advice, and you're not going to be writing it down. They will be writing it down, right? It's this whole process of, giving them the reins so that they can take control. If you don't use planner pages, if your kids don't use planner pages, I just highly suggest that you do. Again, it's such an important thing for your kids to not only make sure that they get stuff done, that you feel good when they are taking breaks in the middle of the day, you don't feel anxious about it, you're not on them giving them a hard time because hey, it's break time. It's fine. It's time to take a break. You need breaks, right? But when you don't know that, when you haven't planned, you might be tempted to be, constantly on their case saying, hey, why aren't you working? Now, the next step that is really, really important is that the day before any work day or any school day, they have to make a detailed plan for that day. So for example, with my kids, math and writing, those are more time-intensive things, and it's not that they dislike them, but it's their work. And nobody adores work. So they will procrastinate. They will happily do the easy things. For them, reading is easy. And they would do that all on Monday and Tuesday and leave all their writing and math for the end of the week. They've done it many times. And it's just not fun because then you're left with all the hard stuff later. So this is where you're going to make sure, okay, you've got a little bit of this harder thing, that harder thing. You alternate the harder and the easier things, or maybe you do all the hard things in the morning and all the easy things in the afternoon, which is not something they might be inclined to do, but it might be smart. It might be a good way to organize their day so that they get a lot done and they're overall happy. As you can imagine, planning on the weekend and just sort of a broad way, and then planning the night before for the next day, it's going to have obviously great results for you, right? And you're probably not doing it, and it's just like a simple little thing, but it makes a huge difference. And here's something you may not have thought of. Most people don't like to be surprised by things. They like to know what's coming. So knowing what's coming for the week ahead, not just for their schoolwork, but field trips and everything, having them be a part of it instead of just surprising them all the time so they feel like they're just sort of blown about by the wind, it's a good thing. And also with regards to their schoolwork, when you look at the next day, for them to know what they're doing that next day, they're gonna be more productive, less resistant, more positive when they know in advance what they have to do. So they can, psych themselves up for it and at least not be negative about it because they know in advance. I think when you know in advance, you're going to be more positive. In addition to the obvious here and now benefits of making these sort of plans, setting goals, and then actually making an action plan to complete those goals. And one of the biggest benefits, I'll just go ahead and mention it, is that it just gives you peace of mind. You just know you couldn't have done more. You don't give yourself a hard time. You don't beat up on yourself because you didn't do more, because you looked at that schedule and you said, this is the only time I can do these things. I don't have more time. And I do need breaks psychologically. I can't just work constantly. So you just feel good about what you're doing. In addition to that, if your kids are planning their week every week for years, if they're planning their days 5 days a week for years, I guarantee they will do this as an adult. And the result isn't just productivity. It is productivity, but it's productivity based on your personal goals and desires and dreams. So you're making progress on your goals and desires and dreams. You're giving your kids an amazing tool for the rest of their life that will make them productive, yes, but about the things that matter to them more than anything, so that they will feel content and satisfied and happy, not just productive, but satisfied. They'll feel good about how they're spending their time and their days and their months and their years. So while it may sound like a little thing, scheduling and really making sure that your kids take the time to do this and to do this effectively is going to have a dramatic, beautiful, amazing impact on your life and your kids' lives. If you have any ideas, any thoughts on a good way to schedule time and a good process, please share those thoughts with me in the comments below, because I really want to hear what you have to say, and I want to continue this conversation. In the meantime, happy homeschooling and have a great day.